I'm a fool for tips, apps, hacks, and gadgets. Today I have a handful for you. If you're interested, then stick around. I am always looking for products that will serve two purposes. And I was for many months looking for a pair of pants, or slacks as they call them in the UK, pants or underwear. But I'm always looking for something that I could sleep in as well as, walk outside and not feel like I'm wearing my pajamas. I've been on the warpath with manufacturers and the pockets that they sew in women's clothing. They are, according to some articles, 47% more shallow than a man's pant. And that really irritates me because I like to carry things in my pockets, like a phone, and I bet you do too. But women's clothing is just not made that way. So after many months of frustration, I finally was walking past the men's athletic wear in the Target, at the Target store, and I thought, I'm going to see if there are any men's pants that might fit me. Well, I picked out several pair of smalls and tried them on, and it was like, OMG, I cannot believe I have missed these all these years, because the pants were the pockets were super deep. They had zippers where you wanted them. They were super soft. I could wear them to sleep in without a problem. And here I'll model them for you and show you what I mean. The other great thing about men's pants is that they are less expensive than women's pants. So you get more features and they're less expensive. Now, if you are a super small person, then try the boys department, because I've also found that the boys department has a better pant than the girls department. So check those out as well. Because if you are small, you can also wear the largest size, the extra large, in both the boys and the girls department. In the kitchen department, I've been wanting to find some containers that would hold our spices in a more compact way, so I could stack them in the drawer and they would take up less space. I had originally looked for some that were like a honeycomb shape, but they were really expensive. So instead, I found some little tin containers. They're like 2 inches square, and I got a set of 6, and they have worked out really well. Here are the little containers, all filled with the spices that we use the most of on our trips. I already had this larger one for brown sugar, so you can see. And the nice thing about these is they fit. You can stack them too high in the drawers. So they really do take up a lot less space than the other ones. So, there you go. The next item was a birthday gift from our son. It's called a capture clip, and let me show you how I installed it. So it comes like this, and inside are the base plate, and then this is the clip that attaches to the shoulder strap of a pack. Okay, the package comes with, so here's the base plate, 2 screws, an Allen wrench for tightening the base to the bottom of your camera, and then here's the clip. When you secure it in, it kind of connects into this little opening. It says it takes a strap up to 2.5 inches wide, and so it looks like this will work. I'll have to loosen this screw up a lot because this strap is pretty thick. Okay, that's on there pretty securely. So this is a Canon M50. It's a fairly small camera. So I figure it won't be so heavy that it'll be awkward carrying it on my shoulder like that or on my strap like that. All right, now I've switched to my iPhone so I can film this to show you how it slips in. And it just slips right in here like this. And it's pretty fast and easy. You get used to it after a while. And then to take it out, you just push this little button in and slip it out. And that's it. I tried out the capture clip on our most recent trip out to the desert. And on our hike, I realized that I was actually using my Canon camera, the one that I'm filming this on, much more frequently than I would if I had had it in the pack that I had been using previously. So in that regard, it's been certainly a winner. Now, the only complaint I have is that this is metal, and it sits right here. So if you're not wearing a jacket or something, you can feel the metal I can feel it on either side of my collarbone. And so what I think I will probably do is put a little bit of padding on the back side so I can't feel it and it won't bother me when we're hiking. Several months ago, I mentioned that I wanted to get a code reader for the van so that on our trips we could actually, if we saw a code come up, we could read it and know what it is, know whether we really needed to get service right away or it's something we could wait on. Several of you mentioned the Bluedriver, as did my neighbor next door. And I also watched some videos and saw some reviews and decided to go ahead and get the Bluedriver. It's $99. And now the installation is pretty straightforward. But here, I'll show you what we did. Here's the code reader. It's pretty compact. Some of the code readers have big screens that you can read off the screen on the device, but this one uses an app on your smartphone. So here's the instructions, and oops, here's the code reader. So this part hooks right into your port. So the first thing you do is go to the App Store and search for Bluedriver. And it looks like this. I'm going to open the app. And I think now it tells me on this card that I need to go out and actually plug it into the car's port. So I'll go do that. Okay, there, lights on. Trying to connect to Bluetooth. Now here's the problem though with Mercedes. Most of these ports and all of our other cars are under the, right, like under here, under the steering column. But this one is behind this panel, so the panel cannot be closed with the panel can't be closed because it gets in the way. So you can't leave it in, which is the way it's meant to be used, I think. No response. Oh, I have to turn the key on. Oh, launched.
Did it connect? Stop spinning.
Oh, okay, it stopped spinning. Okay. Oops, pro tip. No data source to graph. Please select one or more data sources. Well, it's brand new, so we'll give it a drive around and then we'll see. Scan tool. Read codes. Okay, it's scanning. Did not report any trouble codes. Excellent. So now we just have to decide whether we leave this off or
put some duct tape on it.
or what? Mercedes does it again. They really, aren't they brilliant? Well, there's always duct tape. Duct tape solves the problem, at least for now. At the end of the installation process, you would have seen me putting some white duct tape up to hold the cover on. And I left it that way until we got to Arizona, where we we met up with my oldest brother at the campground. And he had, it's like he brought all his tools with him. But anyway, he came over and took a look at helping me get that cover back on and get that button closed up. He got out his, I actually think I did cut out enough around the opening. He took his whittling knife and cleaned it up for me. As it goes at an angle, so make sure you push it at an angle, not push it in straight. But he also cleaned up around the edge here with his whittling knife. And then kind of messed around with the button. And I think the mistake I had made in getting that back in, although he struggled with it as well, was it has to go in at kind of an angle. So if you're ever trying to close that with or without a code reader in there, it's kind of a mousy little button that you push in and turn it 90 degrees. And so I have used it since. I have looked at the app since then. And of course, no codes need to be read right now. Haven't had any problems with the Mercedes. But it will be nice to know that we have that on our drive up to Alaska. Okay, the next thing, you're going to laugh at me because it sounds silly, but I'm going to show you how to tie your shoes. I'm always struggling with my shoes coming untied. And then one day I went online to see if there's some secret way you can tie a shoe so it doesn't come untied, and not the way that we were taught as kids where you tie the loops and do all that stuff. But this way has worked beautifully for me, and I just want to let you know what it is in case you struggle with keeping your shoelaces tied. Okay, I hope you can see my shoe here, okay? So you just, you tie it the normal way, like you would, the first cross. And then for this part, though, you go around twice. You go twice around and then pull the loop snug, and it just holds the lace really tightly and won't come undone until you actually pull it. So give that a try if you didn't already know about it. Okay, this next item, I'm not telling you to do this, but I'm mentioning it because the last time I was at the dealer a few weeks ago, he had told me about one of his customers who winterizes his vehicle with vodka instead of the RV fluid, and I thought it was kind of intriguing. I ran it by our resident expert on winterizing, Skip Stellar, who has posted quite a few good tips on how to winterize, and I'll link to the video where I give you where I share his email with me about how he winterizes. Anyway, I ran it by him, and he said he'd rather open a car door with a potato or something like that. He didn't think very much of the idea, but I wanted to throw that out there because I'd like to know if any of you have actually winterized your vehicles using vodka instead of the RV fluid. What I want to share is actually not from any of you, although I think some of you asked this question before, but it's actually from a friend of mine. I was telling my friend about our last campsite on this last trip. We were coming back from Arizona and we didn't want to make the whole drive. And so we were looking for a place to camp halfway. And I told her about this great BLM campground where we had stayed, and we'd seen petroglyphs and an old miner's cabin, and it was just a pretty cool spot. She asked how we found campsites, and I got to thinking that yes, I've used Campendium, and I've used All Stays and a number of those, camp whatever.net, whatever that one is. Anyway, I think I've used them all, but actually my favorite is just Google Maps. So you want to go to Google Maps, and you want to get at a spot between the two destinations. So I just typed in Palm Springs and Quartzsite, and you hit these 3 dots in the upper right-hand side, and then you add a stop, and then move the stop up between those two locations, and then touch inside and then put in BLM camping and then hit go. And then it will populate your route with some options. So it has some of these that have kind of that flag there. They have those sites, but then if you look over here, you can see some little red dots, and zoom in on a red dot, and there is the one where we stayed, Corn Spring Campsite. And then you can touch on it, of course, and learn more about it. You can read the reviews and decide whether you want to go there. So that's how easy it is. And that has actually been a much better source for me because we are not necessarily planning ahead for all of our campsites, and it just has been a tremendous help. So give Google Maps a try and just and use that for finding your campgrounds, and I think you might be surprised at how helpful that is. That's all I have for you today, and I hope to bring back this kind of tips, hacks, apps, and gadgets kind of thing whenever I get a handful of ideas that I think are worth sharing with you. So thanks so much for watching.
The code reader. Is it in here? Okay, let's get the book out and see where the code reader is.
That's no fun.